Hi, this is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next I've got another awesome unboxing, plus I'm going to talk a little bit about foxing versus tanning on comics. Stay tuned! Alright, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. I've got another awesome unboxing here with should be 3 pretty cool books, and then there was when I did the prior video on tanning, there was a comment about foxing, and so I thought I would also show an example of that and just kind of compared to tanning so you can see what the differences are. I've also got a book with some staining on it, which one is a little more obvious, but just kind of like a comparison of the 3 types of flaws, just a little brief discussion about it. So I'm gonna cut into this box and then we'll talk about these books first. Alright, so I am very happy to get a copy of this book. I don't have many books from this publication. This is Fawcett Publications from 1942. They are the original publisher of Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel and Whiz Comics, that kind of thing. And so this is Captain Marvel Adventures number 18. And it's this, it's a great painted cover. It is the first appearance of Mary Marvel, who is the little girl on the front. It is also the first appearance of the Marvel family. In one of my prior videos, I showed it was the the second appearance of Captain Marvel Jr. in his first cover appearance. So it's pretty awesome to have those two books, and it's a really nice looking copy. There are no notes up here, so everything's attached. But you can see here it is a brittle pages copy, which, like I said, I don't really have a problem with page quality, especially if I can get a book from 1942 that presents this nice, that's this big of a key issue. And you can see back looks nice, relatively nice as well, but there is there's a stain on the back and everything, but it's a 2.0. I'm not really worried about that. The main thing is this presentation of the book, and just again very happy to get a copy of this. Now, one thing I think is probably a reason why it might be difficult to get copies of this book that are complete is, if you noticed, on the back there are these cards, and they were designed to be cut out. So I'm guessing that happened quite a bit, and so it's not a common book. It's not a book you're going to find all the time, and so having a complete copy is, to me, is a pretty big deal. So that's the first book. Now, for the second book, I'm going to jump into the Silver Age with Marvel, and this is a book that I have previously recommended on one of my kind of market or pricing videos, and it is X-Men number 2. And X-Men number 1 has, as I've said in multiple videos, just completely gone insane, and it is rocketing up in price. And a book that has been extremely affordable forever has been this book, X-Men number 2, because it's not really the first appearance of a key character. I mean, it's the first appearance of the Vanisher, but nobody really cares about the Vanisher. Whereas like X-Men 3 is first appearance of the Blob, X-Men 4 is first Scarlet Witch, X-Men 5 is second Scarlet Witch, second Quicksilver, X-Men 6 is a great Submariner cover, X-Men 7 is second Blob, and so you have a lot of these pretty key issues early on with the X-Men, and this hasn't really been one of them, other than the fact that it is the second appearance of the X-Men. I mean, that is a pretty big deal, and I feel like this is one that's been undervalued for a while, and since X-Men number 1 has been going up very fast, I think X-Men number 2 will follow it. And the other big thing about this one is that this book over here was brittle pages, this one is white pages, and when you've got white pages in an early Silver Age book, I mean, this is 1963, that's a big deal. And you can see this book actually presents extremely well, but what it has is you see that line in the middle, this book has a subscription crease. And so, this is one of these books that was folded in half, put in an envelope, and shipped out to, whoever was purchasing that book. Now, you can have grades up to about 5.5. I mean, I think I've seen a 6, but 5.5 is really about the tops I really expect you to get with a subscription crease. And this book is very nice. It looks like it hasn't been pressed, so you can see if I can get the angle right. See those little bends and everything along the spine? That's typically a sign that this book has not been pressed, or if it has, it hasn't been pressed well. And so there are some things that could get cleaned up, but there is a limit on how high this book can actually get because of that subscription crease, and because on the back there is a little tear right here as well. So it's possible this could maybe improve to a 4.5, something like that. I mean, I doubt a 5, but maybe a 4.5. But the question is, again, is it worth it? Is it worth the money to get a half grade on this book? And I don't know, maybe, maybe not. But this book, like I said, I do think is a good one to pick up right now, just because X-Men #1 has gotten so expensive. So this last book I am very excited to get. Anytime I can get a Golden Age first appearance, I think it is incredible. And this one, it's also got a really cool cover. So this is Rangers Comics number 21. And this is a 5.0. It's an extremely nice presenting 5.0. And you can see this one has slightly brittle pages. So I kind of running the gamut of page quality on this. And you can see this one has a pretty, you can tell like a book was sitting on it, probably here, and then across here, because the colors are really bright in the center. But then you can see this fading on the Rangers, which actually looks kind of cool. But so you can see that line here, that's probably where the book was, and then this outside part was exposed. But this is the first appearance of Firehair, and I've talked about her previously because I have another book that I'm going to show that has her on the cover, and she is a pretty big mainstay in Rangers Comics. And like I said, anytime you can get a Golden Age first appearance, I mean, this is 1945. It's it's got this kind of cool execution bondage type cover on it. It's a war cover. This is kind of getting near the end of World War II. So, and I mean, like, look how clean this book looks. I mean, this is an incredible looking copy. I'm super happy about this. And the other book I have that I've shown in the past is this one, which is Rangers Comics number 40. And so that's Firehair, on the cover. And the important thing about this book is that you can see there, this is an Okajima pedigree. And I've talked about that before. These were books that were collected by a woman that was in one of the Japanese internment camps in the United States during World War II. And she continued to collect those books for a few years afterwards, which is what this one's from, because this book is 1948. So, but I think it's the most historically significant pedigree and just an incredible book. And I am very happy to have the first appearance of that character as well. I think that is, it is a really cool book to have. Now this one, it also came with this certificate of provenance. It was owned by someone that had a collection, but it doesn't fall into that the category of a pedigree book like this one does. But still, I think that it's always cool to have some kind of like connection to the person that was collecting these books. So that was the third book here. Now the last thing that I wanted to talk about was foxing, and previously, I had shown House of Secrets 92 when I was talking about tanning. And so this was this is the copy, House of Secrets 92, and this is the tanning on the back, which is this browning, that's around the outside edge. And there was a comment on that video where someone had said that, that this was tanning is another name for foxing. but that isn't correct. Tanning and foxing are two very different things. Now they both have a negative impact on the grade, so from the perspective of the grade of the book, you know, more or less it's the same. But I have this book here, which is Silver Surfer number 4, which I showed a graded copy of recently that I just picked up. And I picked up this book very recently as well. And this is a really nice looking copy. So you can see here, you know, this is a clean book. You know, it would probably grade, I would guess, around a 7.0. I mean, there's some color rub along the spine, a few little creases, you know, along the spine and at the, you know, the top edge, but it is a very nice presenting book from the front cover. So that's kind of the key there. And but if you flip this book over, and I'm gonna get in close, but you can see on the back cover, see those little dots that are around the edges, all around the edges of the book. So make sure it's clear, so you can really see it down there, all those little brown dots. That's what foxing is. So that it's not the same as tanning. You know, it's these little brown dots that it's not really well understood what causes them. You know, you kind of go look it up and everybody seems to have a different idea, where it could be something caused by humidity or fungus or oxidation, but it's something that is damaging to the paper. There are some people that think it can continue after it's started no matter what. So they're concerned about having it on their books, that kind of thing. I'm not concerned about that. But there isn't a way to get rid of it. Similar to tanning, you can't get rid of foxing. It doesn't come off with cleaning or anything like that. But I generally interpret it as having a very similar impact on the grade. Just like tanning, you can have different levels of it. There can be, extreme foxing. This would be called kind of more like light to moderate foxing. On the bottom of that page, on the back cover, it was a little heavier, but on the top it was very light. So this book that I would grade, like I said, maybe around a 7.0, I would estimate it's going to come back, because I do plan on submitting this at about a 5.5. Now, I would be very happy if it comes back a little better. I have had a prior book which I sold recently, and I wanted to make this video, and I should have made the video before I shipped it out. But I had a copy of Strange Tales Annual number 2, which is a Spider-Man book, and it was also a very beautiful looking copy, on the order of maybe even a 7.5. But on the back and even on the front, you could start to see it had quite a bit of foxing, and it was a 5.5. Now, that's why I think this one could have a shot at a little higher than the 5.5, because the foxing isn't quite as bad. But it's one of those things where you just kind of have to gauge how much of it you think there is, and kind of rough estimate what you think that impact on that grade is going to be. And with this, I would say probably about 1 grade, maybe 1.5. So I think 5.5, maybe a 6 is reasonable for this book. And then, obviously, the other type of flaw that's going to be pretty traditional that you're going to have on the surface of a book is staining. And so then I have this book here, Fantastic Four number 6, 2.5, which obviously low grade, but on the back of the book here you can see this this staining here. And so all different types of flaws that you can have on the book, staining, tanning, foxing, they all negatively impact the grade of the book. Some people prefer some types of flaws over other types of flaws. I mean, to me, I probably would prefer tanning the most, then foxing, then staining, just from a visual aspect of it. But, they're all flaws. They all have an impact on the grade. You just kind of, it's one of those things where, especially with those, it just helps to see them, especially seeing them in graded books, so you can kind of get an idea what type of impact that's really going to have on your books. But this was just everything that I wanted to talk about. I thought I had some cool books to show, and just wanted to go over foxing a little bit, just because there was that comment in that prior video on tanning. And so if you found this video useful, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this, and I will see you in the next video.